Yo, when I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Yo. We're back for another episode of the new Spurs Order, aka Touchline Hotspur. We're back. It's been a busy week at the club. We're going to touch on the Palace and the Southampton game, talk about our manager and his comments, and whatever else comes up. But first, let me introduce the strike duo. I've got Ira. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Cool Michael's here reporting for duty. You know, NSO got a rep. Formerly known as Lex Luger, but you know, I'm dropping that one out, man. Cool Michael's all day.
Yeah, I hear that. And back, I don't want to say back from the grave, but the OG. Coming in straight like Jermaine Defoe.
Back like I never left, fam. Back I never left.
Teacher.
You know what? I've missed out on the. I'm good, bro. I've missed out on the NSO tag name, so I'm gonna have to work on something and come back with you, like, because I like the sound of Corn Michaels and Don Antonio. I feel a little bit envious. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking Cyclops, but I know it's already.
You're not feeling Tilo Brown, no?
Tilo Brown, you know what? I might be able to work with it. I just feel like the way I didn't have much input in it. Like, you know, imagine being told one day that from now on we're referring to you as Tilo Brown. Takes a bit of getting used to still, but blessings, bro. Good to be here, man.
That's good. Well, let's get straight into it. We've had 2 games since the last time. Obviously, Merry Christmas to everyone who was listening. Over the Christmas period, we had a London derby, another London derby. Seems like we're doing at the moment is playing London derbies against Crystal Palace, and then the Southampton game. Crystal Palace was a successful one for us, end up with the win. How did you guys feel going into it? I'll start with you, Teach.
Going into the game, I felt like we were going to be tested, you know. I felt like Crystal Palace have some creativity, especially in the advanced areas. And yeah, I just felt like it was, I think going into the game, the average club or the average team that we had played against was circa 14th or something like that. So I thought Crystal Palace could bring something interesting to the table. But yeah, we handled the early pressure well. You know, the structure, the team, you know, that sort of Antonio Conte design and desire was on display, and I was happy about that. There were moments where I thought we could be more creative, getting it into that advanced area. But yeah, I was really pleased with the way the Mandem pulled together. Really pleased with the way the Mandem showed out for each other. I didn't get the impression that everyone there I felt was working, which is not something I could always say when watching Spurs play football. So it was nice to see that hunger back, that passion back. And yeah, we walked away with a result, which obviously, you know, was really, really pleasing. I'm sure we'll get into, you know, some of the decisions around the Wolf red card or 2 yellows and that a bit later. But yeah, just in summary, it was a good game, a good result for Spurs. And hopefully, well, obviously, the result after that wasn't as promising, but an indicator of what's to come in terms of that passion and enthusiasm for the club, which was nice to see on display.
Yeah, and obviously you haven't been on the pod of late, but what's your thoughts, before I go to Era, what's your thoughts on Conte so far and his system? Like, are you seeing and going, oh, finally I can enjoy watching this club?
Do you know what? It has... Do you know what? I know football is a results business, isn't it? And obviously the results have been great. You can't argue with the results. But just in terms of the general play, because there was times when Mourinho was getting results, but I was still looking at it and a bit cringy. So I'm really, really pleased. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't be happier with the way Conte's come in such a short space of time and had such a huge impact. Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever they go through the stats on Sky Sports, wherever I'm watching, you know, the transformation in terms of least conceded in the league and all of these, you know, KPIs that were just blowing out of the park, you know, the distance traveled. It's obviously a system that's working for Spurs. I get the impression that when we're in the dressing room, we're in there with someone that's reliable, with someone that the players respect and that they want to play for ultimately and play for each other. So You know what I mean? Like I get I'm a huge fan at the moment, but as I said, it's results business, so things could change fairly quickly. But so far, so good. Honestly, I can't complain.
Yeah, we got a comment here. To Boho, it says, "You guys look happier, man. I hate it." Drop a message, drop a comment. Let us know who you follow. I bet he's a gooner. I bet this person is a gooner, probably. But yeah, we are happier. Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
unbeaten in the league. I know yesterday was just, or Tuesday was disappointing. But here we are. Do you know what I mean? It is results business. It's great to watch them play. Like you said, I think at home we've got a bit more desire. Topo is a Chelsea fan. Oh, listen, Chelsea got their own problems, hey? Chelsea got their own problems. Not my striker.
He's moving mad. He's actually moving mad.
Yeah, he's moving a bit mad still. So yeah, like I said, it's good to see the results are coming in and we're playing well. Everyone looks like they're up for it for the most part. Erin, I'm going to go to you on the Palace game. Obviously, the back three was pretty standard apart from Tanganga coming in. Instead of Davies. Now we assume in basketball speak that's a scheduling issue. That's a so many games in so many days you need to rest, especially an older player. Tanganga comes in, but apart from that, team kind of bits itself. Emerson, Skip, Højbjerg, Reguilon, Lucas, Son, Kane. Before the game, what were your thoughts on that lineup?
If I was being honest, I wasn't as confident. Like I know we've done well in these last few matches, but I feel like we've kind of scraped through in a lot of places. Obviously, I'm glad that to Boho noticed that we look happier, like so happy that at the moment we're dealing with players like Winks and Dele Alli coming to the squad, and you know what I mean, like no one's really complaining. It's not booze, it's not a riot, and I think players are getting comfy again. So. Things are happening, good things are happening. But one thing I was happy with was Son and Kane starting the match. And I was happy for Reguilon to come back in. I don't think he played the one before that, did he?
I can't remember actually. What was that? It was West Ham before that.
West Ham, did he play?
I think he did. Yeah, he started that one. But the game before, by Liverpool, when he was Session played the Liverpool one.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
And then he got his his monthly muscular injury. Ridiculous. But anyway.
I don't know about Cess, man. I think we got some issues in the wing backs systems, but we'll get to Hermes Real soon.
Yeah. So you said that you weren't as confident heading into the game, and I guess it's that old thing, isn't it? It's that Spurs go on a good run, you think, okay, right, it's just Palace. We need to deal with Palace. Palace at home, they don't have a good record against us. I don't think they've scored a goal against us at the new stadium. I think Bale had his best game against them last year. We beat them 4-0, I think. Obviously, it ended up being convincing, but it took us half hour to get that first goal. But in that time, obviously, by the time we got to 40 minutes, Zaha was off. This is now the third league game in a row that we're playing against 10 men. Is there a 10-man tax on some of these results?
We went from not playing at all to playing against 10 men every week. And I don't know. But yeah. It's crazy. I think if you're gonna take the 10-man tax off of this result, it's gonna be interesting when we take it off of the 1-1 in a minute.
Yeah, I know that's a bit. Oh gosh.
Do you know what though? I kind of feel like we're putting pressure on, which is the reason why these fouls are happening. You know, it's a pressure which we hadn't seen before. Like the press is better. Teams are getting frustrated quicker. And I feel like with that, it means that your opposition's forced to make sometimes reckless challenges or behave irrationally, pointing out the Wilf incident. So I really think that pressure is a result of the Conte system. And you know what I'm saying? You got to give your plaudits to that rather than, I don't think it's luck is what I'm saying. I don't think it's just luck. We're suddenly up. Anyone can get sent off, obviously, but I don't think it's luck that we're just suddenly up, 3 times in a row playing people with 10 men, as you pointed out. You know, it's down to the pressure that we're putting on. It's down to the system that we're playing and the threat that Spurs have become, or becoming, I should say.
I think like Zaha, he definitely took the whole new Spurs Order thing too seriously. Like he thought he was actually in wrestling. He tried to do a whole suplex, bro. Like, I don't know, old school thing. You get what I mean? Like tried to flip him over. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's happening with Zaha right now, man. He seems like he's got a bit of an attitude problem. That I know that those kind of things get thrown around, but like I don't know, man. It's a bit peak for
Zaha.
Saying,
Zaha's always been someone that plays on a bit of an edge. Like you get the best out of him when you got the crowd up. Do you know what I'm saying? When everyone's sort of chanting his name and there's a bit of teeth in the game. Like I remember in the game prior to that where he had his little tussle with Tanganga or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? Even then he played really well, but for someone that experienced, you wouldn't expect him to be in a yellow and then make the decision that he did to give Sanchez the backwards Samaha from hell, fam. You can see the frustration in his eyes. He was just like, what? Man.
I see Emerson Royale run over. He didn't want none of it, bro. He was just in his face. How could he?
He was so vexed.
Emerson Royale looking at more like, is this what happens?
Thank you,
yeah, real talk.
But yeah, no,
that would have been Dele Alli a couple of years ago, though. That would have been Dele Alli making those kind of decisions a couple of years ago. So obviously Dele Alli's now got the experience to not react to those kind of things. You'd imagine that Zaha has as well. Someone has experienced as Zaha. So it was surprising, but boy, we'll take it, innit? But I think we would have won the game anyway, to be honest with you.
We were 2-0 up. We'd scored like 2 goals in 5 minutes.
There you go.
And I think, and this is what I've been saying on recent pods and anyone that's ever asked me, these kind of games, I think with our system and the quality we do actually have in the team, if we get to 2 goals, that's it. I can't see a team chasing a 2-goal deficit and being able to put us away. So I think the more they chase, it opens up for your Son, your Moras, the runners we got in the team. Obviously, Kane does his own kind of drop deep, link up play kind of thing. On the subject of Kane, though, this is now it's now 3 games in a row that he's scored. He hadn't scored in back-to-back games in a very, very, very long time. I don't think all season. But now he's got 3 and 3. It's only 4 in the league. Let's not get too carried away. But are you seeing Kane back to some version of his best?
I'm reluctant to say back to his best just yet, but I hold Kane in very, very, very high standards. I honestly think he's one of the best strikers, out and out strikers in the world, and at times, certainly in the Premier League. So he's not back to his best yet, but what we are seeing is him adapting to the new Conte system. What we are seeing is that confidence come back as well, because obviously football's a confidence game, man. When people start scoring, the train continues, and I think now that he's got a couple of goals, we're up to 4 now in the league. I think that will do him some good, because Kane gets you goals, yes, but what he also does is play really, really good football. He links up really well. I'm not yet seeing that part of the game, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's the bit that's missing for me. That final pass, playing in sun, from 50, 60 yards or however long, playing that ping, that turn, and do you know what I'm saying? So that's the bit that's yet to come for me. But the goals are coming now, and we need that. If we're gonna stand any chance, I talk a lot about getting top 4, but if we're gonna stand any chance of getting that, then we need Kane firing on all cylinders. And I'm over the moon to see him back on the goal scoring sheet.
Just to add to that as well, I don't think it's any coincidence that the midfield is starting to be a little bit less chaotic, and then we're starting to see Kane start scoring again, getting back on the score sheet again. I think, like you said, Conte's tactics are working, man, and some of the players are starting to react. We're definitely getting the best out of some players. I definitely thought we wouldn't be seeing again in Spurs shirts.
Yeah, we'll touch on some of them later. I think for me, just kind of adding again to what you said. When Conte came in, he said, I want Kane to play up. I don't want him to be too deep. I don't want that Euro 2020 Kane. Right? I don't need that in my system. And to be honest, it does mean that we need to sort the midfield out, because we'll touch on it a little bit later, but there are some issues there with moving the ball forward at speed. But we can see how lethal Kane is when he's in and around those areas. I think just before he scored, he had a chance in the Palace game, similar to like Liverpool. You know, obviously before he scored that goal, he had the chance where he kind of spun and it got blocked. So he's looking sharp. He's looking to get into these good positions, and it's now paying off. And I think it's one of the ones where when Kane is scoring, I think the whole team now feels a bit better. Do you know what I mean? Another player I want to touch on, especially from the Palace game, and I think we noticed his absence against Southampton, is Lucas Moura. You know, he's the ultimate, and I say this with respect, the ultimate squad player. And he's the glue. Yeah, like he's the glue. Everyone loves him. Everyone gets on with him. You know, the fans love him. Obviously, he gave us, you know, a special night back in 2019. And, you know, he's been very influential in a lot of games. You know, he carries the ball well. We saw it even under Jose in some games. We saw it under Nuno in some games. Carries the ball very well. Scored an absolute rocket a few weeks ago. And then he scores one, and you know, for a guy who's probably half my size, he can get up and head that ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What did you think, Era, of his performance overall?
I think it's safe to say that like Lucas is looking like he's turned that corner. Like he's playing really well. And to be fair, we've seen flashes of that before. It's just we've complained a lot, I think, about like the end product. And I don't know who said it in the group chat earlier in the week, but it's like Conte has just drilled it into his head, like release the ball. And now that he's releasing the ball at earlier times, it's like the moves are progressing. He's getting extra touches on the ball that he wouldn't have got before, that he might have lost the ball. Do you know what I mean? Just by holding on to it for too long, man. So I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm loving him being on the end of these balls, because I'm starting to see the long ball get back into the squad with Dyer as well, with Winks. So it's looking positive. It's looking positive.
Yeah. I think that's another thing. You've got different ways to break down an opponent. We're still not where we need to be. I think we will talk about this in a bit. We need more midfielders. We need more progressive midfielders, especially in the attacking sense. But you can go for that long ball option out to the wing backs. You can go maybe through the middle, through Winks, you know, like we saw with the assist for the goal that got ruled out against Southampton. You can see, you know, Kane linking up, Moura driving the ball, Son driving the ball. There's different ways that we can get into goal scoring opportunities. And I think that shows in the fact that our numbers of shots per game has gone up, where, you know, creating more chances, where, you know, the whole XG thing is looking a lot more positive. So we get the W there, 3-0, London Derby, Boxing Day. Kane scores on Boxing Day as he always does. That's 15 straight Boxing Days that Spurs have won in, you know, consecutively. It's not really, we're not really a club for records in a good sense, but that's one of the ones that you can say in the pub quiz in the years to come. But yeah, so, and then we go on to Southampton 2 days later. And I know I said this off camera or before we went live, playing twice a week with this squad, you can see the drop off. You know, we saw it against West Ham. In the second half, we were holding on to that 2-1 lead for dear life at some point. What was your thoughts, teacher, before we went into the Southampton game? Did you feel confident? Did you think, right, here we go, we're just going to put these guys away?
Yeah. So I feel like we have depth in players, but not necessarily the depth required to meet this Conte system. Like Dele Alli in this system doesn't really match up. He's not playing he can't really naturally play on the wing. He doesn't really play in those deeper roles. He's more of a number 10 traditionally. Ndom, the same. He can't really do that holding role. I'm not sure if he's disciplined enough. So I knew there was going to be I expected there to be a bit of rotation, but I was a little worried how well it would work, because I feel like without having Skip and Højbjerg in that sort of middle pivot, the structure somewhat falls apart. Like there's not that foundation for the advanced midfielders and attackers to then build upon. And and start playing progressive football. So, yeah, I mean, and not just that, but in general, Southampton needed those 3 points probably more than Spurs did. Maybe I'd suggest. So, you know, there was a question there about how much we would want it, what the desire would look like, and yeah, do you know what? To be honest, I feel like we should have done better there, man. Obviously, despite the 10 man, like 11 against 11, you expect Spurs to beat Southampton. Let's be clear on that. And that's no disrespect to Southampton. It's just that we are honestly a level above that. You know, they played a very, very disciplined game. The press they had was superb. I'm not gonna lie, as good as the press I've seen. And we didn't necessarily have all of the time anyway, the creativity in the midfield. I mean, shout out to Winks though. I want to give an honorable mention to Winks because I'm not Winks' biggest fan. I'll acknowledge that. But
no one on this lineup currently is.
cool. But I'm not gonna lie, he had a few hairy moments, but someone who wants the ball as much as Winks wants the ball is always going to be under pressure and going to have to react. And to be fair to him, he was playing some good passes. He always had his head up looking for the pass ahead before the ball got to him. He was always moving around, making himself available and still playing quite disciplined football. So, you know, I think we had a few shining lights there. It was really disappointing to not get 3 points, especially when they went down to 10 men. And honestly speaking, those are the points that we need. Those are the 3 points that we need. It's cool taking a point against Liverpool. That's cool, but when you're against Southampton, 10 man, you need 3 points. You know, if you're gonna be serious about what Spurs want to achieve, top 4, which is the same thing we want to achieve every year. Let's be honest. Then we need to take 3 points there, but we didn't. But still, the show goes on. You know, there was obviously in that second half a lot more intent from Spurs. And to be fair to Southampton, they still gave it a go. They didn't just sit down, they didn't sit back and rest and say, I'm happy with a point here. They still gave it a go. So they still tested us, which I think kept us on the toes a little bit because we probably didn't want to lose more than we wanted to win. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a good point there. I think maybe is it a case of recent situations like the game against Mura in the ECL, where we've just lost it in the last 5-10 minutes. Obviously, we know West Ham last year. This team has unfortunately a good memory of being ahead in games and maybe not being as street smart. Were we playing a bit too safe? Do you reckon they were in the second half?
I think we did play a bit too safe in the second half. I think we also opened up the game a bit too safe, a bit groggy, if you get what I mean. And I think Southampton took advantage of that. I was saying in the group chat, like I thought Kyle Walker-Peters was just pressuring Reguilon, like he wouldn't let him up the pitch. He wouldn't defend. He's just coming for him. And like, I'm not gonna act like Reguilon folded or like Kyle Walker-Peters had some amazing game, but I was just gonna say the tactics was affecting how effective. It was messing up how effective Reguilon could be, I would say, or limiting how effective he could be. I thought we were laboured, man, in that second half. I think Winks was definitely our best player in the midfield, but I'd also say that's not much of an accolade in this game. Like, Højbjerg wasn't too great. You know what I mean? Dele Alli was a shadow in this game. Like, I don't know, you didn't really get anything off. Like, he was playing a bit for like a different kind of role. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, to be honest.
Yeah, it was almost like he was in instead of Moura. And sometimes he was out on the wing, sometimes he was dropping into midfield. I don't think he knew where he was supposed to be this.
Yeah,
it was one of them games, man.
And it breaks my heart to disrespect Dele Alli because everyone knows that's my guy. Everyone knows Dele Alli is my guy, and I'll always ride for Dele. There will always be a soft spot in my heart for Dele. But half an hour went past, wasn't impressed. 45 minutes went past, wasn't impressed. I think it got to 60 minutes or so, and I was just thinking, get him off. Honestly speaking, I was just thinking, get him off. And it's a shame as well because was it Liverpool that he played really well in and missed like one or two sitters or had one or two good attempts, and you want him to build on that. You want him to take that encouragement into the next game. Southampton arguably a lower opposition, more time on the ball perhaps, but Dele Alli needs to play with his back to goal. and he needs to come in short, get the ball, turn around, find a pass, do something creative, beat somebody, and open up some space, unlock it. But he just, I think the press was too much for him. That he wasn't afforded any time on the ball to do what Dele Alli does. On top of that, positionally, he was all over the place. Like he's not a natural winger. He can't play that Lucas Moura or that Bergwijn role. There's no space for the number 10 in his system. So, but at times he was sort of drifting behind Kane. So I don't know, maybe it was given a little bit of freedom. Owen, what's good, bro? Maybe it was given a little bit of freedom. But yeah, man, like it was a really disappointing game to watch Dele Alli. I'm not gonna lie, I was heartbroken to see that. And yeah, it's rare that I call for him up. But Dele Alli will still come good. He'll still have some big moments for Spurs. He's still got a future with us. But yeah,
before we move on, like, how do you feel about Dele Alli's future? Like, are you saying if an offer came in for Dele Alli, like, I don't even know what an offer for Dele Alli would look like.
It needs to be 30 million plus. It needs to be 30 million.
It would need to be 30 million for you to let him go. So if a 20 million offer came in, you'd rather keep Dele Alli?
I'd rather keep Dele for 20 mil. I don't think we need 20 million.
I wanted to know where you.
The thing is, think about the things that we said earlier. We need creative midfielders. Dele Alli is a creative midfielder, bro. He's a creative midfielder. And on top of that, yeah, look, he's a lot more physical now than he's been. But you know what? His form is just so shocking right now. But he needs game time as well, to be fair to him. He's not playing. He's hardly playing. Give the boy some game time. But it's just, does he fit? You know what? Does he fit the system? And like, it's hard for me to say he naturally fits this new Conte system, which I like. I really like. So yeah, there's tough times ahead for Dele. But as I said, he will always have a soft spot in my heart. Team light skin, bang bang.
If he's still at the club in August next year, I'll be very surprised. I'll be very surprised. I think it's done for him. It is sad. He's given some great moments. He's scored some big goals in big games, relatively big games as you can get for Spurs. A couple of semi-finals here and there against top opposition. But I just can't see it. I just can't see him, especially in this system. I just can't see it happening. But we'll see. Conte is obviously going to make some decisions moving forward. Owen, expat, joining us. My friend, you come at a good time. We're just talking about the Southampton game. Obviously disappointing, playing against 10 men. They sit in, and it looked like we only had one midfielder. On
did we mention who the man of the match was, or did we not get to that?
No, we hadn't got to that yet.
Wasn't it Prowse?
Yeah, technically it's Ward Prowse. It was actually Ward Prowse.
Our Spurs Twitter voted man of the match then.
I really see. The thing is, when I joined the pod, I gave this guy so much hell. Do you know what I mean? I said I wanted to see him just holding the bags. Like a true academy player, just carry bags on and off the coach. But it looks like Harry Winks is having a bit of a resurgence. And Owen, you've been Team Winks from very early. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you the floor for a moment just to speak on not only his Southampton performance, but what you think going forward he's going to do for this Conte system.
Wow, fair play, man. I could be really, really shameless, and I will a little bit. I think that fair play to Money Mace, man, because he was onto something. He dropped Ndom to play Winks in the Carabao Cup final. Everyone was like, why? Why?
You see, Mason.
No, jokes aside, jokes aside, I didn't have time to write any speech. I've just come from work. But no, fair play. I'd always thought there was a player in there, and he's always sorted my aesthetic for the type of player he is, being the metronome type to dictate tempo in a game. Because when he does it well, it looks gorgeous, to be fair. And with previous managers perhaps not having a kind of set plan of build-up play, Winks didn't necessarily have the plan to follow, and everyone looked really disjointed. Even like our best midfielders couldn't really thrive properly under old regimes. So Harry Winks at the time, I guess, wouldn't have stood much of a chance. Now Conte's come in with a real kind of precise plan for building. Everyone knows their jobs. So Winks being the type of player he is, he's very good at following those rules of build-up play. I call them rules for lack of a better word. I don't know what coaches would call it, but I'd say he's very good at following them, and it shows that straight away. I don't want to get too excited about him now, to be fair. Like, he has had a fast too few good games. He's shown that he's got that passing range back where he was kind of accused of being a bit safe before. I would begrudgingly agree with that. But yeah, especially against Southampton, that you see he was the protagonist in a lot of our best moves, like the ball to Son for him to win the penalty. Was he the one that played in the cross for Doherty number 2 to challenge Forster in that weird ghost goal, which should have stood. He was key in a lot of the good play we did, although he did have one or two hairy moments. There was one time he stepped over the ball, went to take it with him, and then ended up luckily not being punished for it when he lost it just outside our own box. But no, going forward, man, I think as long as he can keep that passing range popping off, as well as being as press resistant as he has been, and as good with his pass selection as he has been, see, just knowing when just to keep it safe, knowing when to reset, and knowing when to get the ball forward. I think he's really hit a nice rhythm now. But as I say, I don't want to get too excited for him. He has got to continue this. It has only been 2 games. And I think Conte's comments with him today was kind of built and designed to do 2 things. One, give him a kind of justified pat on the back, because I'm sure he's probably half aware from the press officer at Spurs that he's getting scapegoated to hell. Even after the Southampton game, apparently he was getting certain comments lobbied at him. So I think it will be it's good for Conte to alleviate that kind of pressure from him, saying he's been relied on. And with his wording, he's saying he's a midfielder he can rely on. So paraphrase him a little bit there. I think it's obviously aiming a little bit of it's aiming to light a fire up some of the other midfielders' arses, essentially, mainly Tongi. I don't know if you guys have spoken about him yet, but I think it's aimed at other midfielders, probably Lo Celso as well, right? Even though he sees him as an attacker, to try and like fight their ass and be that guy that can be dependable, because like Fabregas had it at Chelsea under Conte, and he was asked to prove himself again, and we all know how class Fabregas was. Tongi, I think he can still do that as well. So yeah, I think it was Ahoyo's brother, funnily enough, in the comments that was saying that I had a howler saying I would love to see a Winks on Ndombele midfield under Conte. Would still love that now. I still have stocks in them both. So yeah, like fair play to Winks, and I think there's still hope for Tongi as well.
Quick question.
They just got to continue these good performances, man. Like 2 games, fair play. He's halfway there. If he continues it for the rest of the season, then boy, 40 million. I'm saying no.
I wanted to ask, like, with all the positive plaudits coming Winks' way, like with Conte saying that he can rely on him, what do you think about trusted sources at the NSO saying that he's just a pie and mash Modric?
Yeah. Sorry, just for context.
It's not the worst thing to be called.
Bangers and mash
Modric. That's what he was called today.
Weren't those credible sources saying that he had gravy as well? This is the top gravy. No, it's not the worst thing to be called. He can be my pie and mash Modric with gravy, as long as he continues these performances. That's not a bad name.
Yeah.
I'd take that. I can't lie.
We will see what happens. So let's segue into this conversation about our midfield. We spoke, I think it was 2 weeks ago on the pod, about defenders that you might want to sign. We looked at our defense. We know that Conte is known for keeping quite a tight rotation of those defenders. It's obvious, looking at the performances of Dele Alli being inconsistent, Højbjerg looking a bit off the pace, and Ndombele hardly getting any minutes. I mean, Lo Celso just injured anyway. And there's not much to really praise apart from Winks and Skip. And we've got by, we've obviously got some results. but we'll be going into a semi-final against Chelsea. We'll be going into obviously we've got to play a lot of the big six in the second half of the season. Bigger games that decide whether you're in the top 4, the top 6, or the top 8. Teacher, what do you reckon? Who in your pecking order? How would you rate our midfielders? So I'm going to give you. So we've got Skip, Winks, Højbjerg, and Ndombele, Ali. So those 5 primarily central midfielders.
Yeah. Skip has transformed under Conte. I think he's now a lot more reliable. He's matured, he's stronger, he's running around a lot, and you can't have a bad game running, in my opinion. He gives it. He's someone on that pitch that is almost like that glue in the midfield. He does the ugly work. He plays it simple. He keeps it ticking. And it's hard for him to have a really bad game because of his work ethic. I don't think he's blessed with tons and tons of talent like Tanguy is, but he makes up for it with his commitment, non-stop running, always making himself available, always trying to find a space, playing it safe as well, which I think is important, especially in your deeper positions. Højbjerg looked a bit tired. I still think Højbjerg's a quality midfielder, but he just looked a bit tired to me. So it works in the system, him playing next to Skip. I think we've seen that before, but it doesn't give us that creativity that I think we need if we're going to be pressuring these bigger top 6 teams, which is where the likes of Tanguy and Deli then come in. But we need them to be in form. If I was to sort of rank them 0 to hero, on form, I would say, on form under Conte, I would say Skip is up there, Winks is up there, Tanguy needs more time, more game. I can only imagine Conte's not been impressed with what he's seen in training or wherever he's watched him, because he's not getting much minutes at all. But to be fair, when he did play, he slotted in a nice pass through to Harry Kane for the assist in what game was that? Was that the Crystal Palace game?
Liverpool
game. Sorry, yeah. So to be fair to him, he's still got that trick in his bag, innit? But it's just a case of Conte demands people playing with intensity, and I don't know if he can keep that up for 60 minutes, let alone 90. So it's hard to put him all the way up in the pecking order. But I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying I don't know, because he's not getting that opportunity. And then Dele Alli, he just doesn't fit the Conte system as far as I can see. I don't think he can play that deeper role. I don't really think he can play in the advanced area, because there's more emphasis on people playing in the wing spaces. So, yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. Like, for the time being, I think Skip is up there, Winks is up there, Højbjerg is up there by default, because he naturally plays that position and plays it relatively well. And then we need to try and get Ndombele and Dele Alli involved in this system somehow, and we need to get them playing well. And we need them players if we stand a chance of getting that top 4. That's a fact, because we haven't got the creativity. Winks is creative, but we haven't got the creativity in Højbjerg, Winks, and Skip alone to then be breaking down those better disciplined teams with a better press.
Yeah. And I think that's what we saw even against Southampton when they went to 10 men. They said, all right, break us down. And there was about 3 possessions in a row where Højbjerg got on the ball and Emerson or whoever was out on the right wing back position was screaming for it.
He hasn't got it in him.
He looks up and he's just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And we know against 10 men, one of the fundamental things you learn in football against 10 men is you switch play. You have them moving across. Højbjerg's taken 5-6 touches, and they're all small touches. They're all safe touches. So it's interesting to see what happens with that, because I don't think he'll be sold anytime soon. But I definitely feel like he'll go out of the rotation if we improve the midfield in the January kind of window. Era, what's your thoughts on Pierre? Last year he was the Viking warrior. He does a great fist bump, but I'm not sure what else at the moment. What about you?
I feel like last year Højbjerg was more playing the role that Skip is getting now, and I think he looked better in that role. But I think Skip is great in that role. I wouldn't replace him. So the role that Højbjerg is playing now, I don't think he can really chat to Winks in it. So he's got some problems. Do you know what I mean? He can't chat to Winks in one role. He can't chat to Skip in the other. And like I think one of the problems for Højbjerg is his average is not high enough. His average performance is not high enough. So he can put in a good performance. But I think if you look at Winks' average performance, I think if we include everything, like not just the bad stuff, the recent stuff, if we include everything, I think Winks' average performance tends to be better than Højbjerg. He's just struggled under recent managers. So I don't know, man. I think if I was putting it in, I think the reason why Højbjerg is in the team right now is because he's reliable. You're always going to get that average. Like he hasn't been very up and down. He's either giving you that average or a bit above. But I don't think that's going to be enough to keep him in this team. It's only because there's certain players like Dele Alli who can't even meet their own average at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's
we know what we're going to get with Højbjerg, whether we like it or not. And you said about Wing, I can count on him. I think that's the situation now. I can count on Højbjerg. Owen, what's your midfield lineup?
It's a midfield three. Currently, I've got to say it will probably be Skip, Winks, and Ndombele. I know, like we might say, like our Højbjerg's average performance is better than most, and he might be reliable in the eyes of Conte. But I just want to know what Conte's seeing in him while Højbjerg has been under his tenure to make him think he's reliable, because under Conte, honestly, he hasn't been. I think the only good game he's had under Conte was against West Ham, which we all had the fortune of seeing live, and that was one half before he gassed out. But to be fair, the rest of the team gassed out. So we got Skip, who's playing well and expressed himself more under Conte. You got Winks, who's playing back to how he was before, with improved tenacity as well. And Ndombele, who I think can still, like Conte was saying in the press conference, he's a midfielder. A lot of people read that as he's done. I wasn't even sure what he meant by that, but for me, I don't see anything from when Dele's been playing advanced midfield position, like what he sees in Dele that Tongi can't do to a better extent, because technically Ndombele is a much better player. So for me, I definitely have Ndombele as the most advanced midfielder. I'd have Winks in for Højbjerg. Højbjerg needs a rest anyway, man. Like I feel like I think the downturn in his performance is correlated with him just playing too many games, and I think he was maybe one of those that just had COVID as well. So if we're able to rotate him in and out and see an upturn in his performances, and he has a half like he did against West Ham where he was actually expansive, not just with his passing, but he was running forward and breaking lines with his underlapping runs. We saw that and it actually ended up in a goal. But if he's not doing that on a game-by-game basis because he's too tired, then there's just no point. If we're getting consistent performances like we are getting at the moment from Skip, from Winks, and hopefully Ndombele can work his way in, then that would be my best midfield. I think it's the most balanced as well. Yeah, that's for me currently until we make imminent changes.
Yeah, it works. If we're going to go down the 3-5-2 route, it frees midfield, fills Ndombele up to do the creative stuff like we saw against Liverpool. It worked because it was Ali, Ndombele, and Winks. Ali was a bit more reserved at times, and then Ndombele got into those pockets of space and was able to obviously got the assist for Kane's goal, which was a great pass, which we know he's capable of. It is frustrating with Tongi, and I think again he's another one that I don't think he'll be sold in this window, but I can't see he has to really prove a point. And I think that's what Conte was getting at. It's like he's a midfielder, he's just there. It's not something that I'm like, oh, he's going to be great for me or whatever. It's just he's in my team, he's in my squad. Right, okay, let's see what he can do over the next 6 months. Like I said, there will be big games. We've got a good comment here about us away from home. Yes, we're unbeaten in the league, but we've won all the home games, but we've drawn the away games. We've drawn against Everton, obviously that was only just a few days after Conte had come in. And then we struggled against Southampton, even when they went down to 10 men. So is that the issue there as well? Away from home, our midfielders can't, control a game? If that is the case, looking at January, obviously transfer window setting, by the time this comes out, it will be the new year. By the time this pod comes out on Saturday. What are we saying then? January 1st, if you can sign a midfielder, does anyone have anyone? I'm going to open up to everyone. Anyone have anyone in mind that they think, yeah, definitely I'm going to go spend some money?
What are you?
I'm trying to think of a viable player that actually has a good final pass on him. For me, I've always had reservations about the player I'm about to say, but purely because he's played under Conte before, he's high energy, he's familiar with his patterns, and again, has a good final pass. I'd still probably go for Brozovic, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'll probably go for Brozovic if he's willing to leave a team which is currently on the title challenge for a bigger pay packet, because he's at an age where this is going to be his last big contract, and we can obviously Inter are a better team than us. They're probably going to win another trophy this year, but we can probably triple his wage packet at the same time. So who knows? If we can convince him, then I'd probably go for him. That's probably going to be our most viable player, in my opinion, that we can sign in January.
Yeah. Okay. Teacher, you got anyone that you think you'd bring in to help beef us up? Because I think with the players that we've got, you add a quality starter, and then you've got Højbjerg coming off the bench to see out a game 25 minutes. You know, you've got, even if you don't play a Winks, but you've got Winks as an option to come off the bench. You've got Skip plus a bona fide, midfield general, as it were, who can really dominate a game and control a game. A bit like how we see Jorginho for Chelsea. But when Jorginho's not there, Kovacic can kind of do that role. Obviously, they're playing next to Kante, so that makes a lot of a difference as well. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, I was quite happy about the transfer rumours linking us with, is it Kessie? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Frank Kessie, I think.
Yeah, Frank Kessie. He looks like a box-to-box type player. I haven't seen much of AC this season, but from what I had a quick look when I saw the links, the transfer rumours, I had a quick look at his sort of highlight reel, which I know is a dangerous thing to do, but he looked like the sort of player that could help out, to be honest with you. And I think he's obviously a relatively realistic target, someone that we probably could obtain, someone that Conte obviously knows, having played in that league before. So I wonder if he could be someone that adds a bit of strength, a bit of structure, kind of like what Pierre first did when he joined from Southampton. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he could do in a Spurs shirt. But yeah, I think I just saw the comment there for Goal Getter. He's only a slight upgrade on PH, which is absolutely true. But
yeah, I was a big Kessie fan last season. I think I saw him. I watched him a few times, but definitely like in the Champions League, I think it was against Man United. Played an absolute blinder. I think even though they still went out, he's looked good over the past couple of seasons. I've watched him in bits. So coming into the season, I was definitely, Frank Kessie, bring him into the midfield, especially now when Conte took over. And then I made the mistake of watching a few of Kessie's recent games. And boy, he's been stinking up the joint. I'm not going to lie. He's been stinking up the joint. There was one game, I think it was in the Champions League, where, was it against Liverpool? Yeah, I think it was Liverpool. He couldn't even string. I don't think he made 5 passes in a row in the first half. And he's one of them possession players, the ball comes through him, he's involved in most moves, and he was giving the ball away three times out of 5. Now, some people have said that it could be because he knows his contract is up. He doesn't want to be at the club. He wants to move on. He's hearing all these rumours. Has his head, been affected by that? A bit like a Harry Kane situation, the kind of drill. I hope it is, but that's a big risk for us to take, because we need players to come in and bang. No more Nkudus, no more Clinton and G's, no more the Mellors, none of that. We need players to come in and bang. Do you know what I mean? So I like the Kessie shout, but it is a massive risk. Anyone else got any other names?
Yeah, I got a little suggestion. I think I've made it before. I still think it's possible. Obviously, it's getting more and more expensive by the week because this guy's stocks are flying up, man. But I'm gonna add to him. The reason why I like him, I think that he not only can help us in the midfield, he's a bit more attacking than some of the options we've got, but he also gives us a wide option as well. And I think he can make a difference in the front three if the time calls for it. And my guy, I think Owen noticed it, but it's Nkunku, man. That's my guy. I feel like he's
Okay.
a serious guy. Whoever gets him is gonna be laughing. And like I can imagine him linking up with people like Tange being a problem.
Yeah. Do you reckon with the year
Yeah.
he's had though, that he'd come Spurs?
That's the thing. I don't know, but he's been there
That's
about
always the
3
thing.
years now. Yeah, it's that's always going to be the issue. But I think if we did get him, it wouldn't be more than like 60 million. I don't think you're looking like 50, 60, and I think we can round that up.
I think what we're in a great position now, where Conte can pull players in, and I hope that's what we're going to see in January. When we're saying, "Oh, is he going to come to Spurs? No Europe for at least 6 months?" Hopefully, it's Conte that can pull some of these guys in and say, "Look, come be a part. We know what we're doing here. You see the upturn. You see how I've got them playing. Harry Kane is scoring. Harry Kane's happy. He's sticking around. Get involved." Do you know what I mean? I'm personally a Basuma fan. I like Basuma from Brighton, especially in a short term. I don't want him as a short-term option, but you get him in for 6 months. He knows the league. Most of our games are going to be in the league, and then that brings our rotation a bit tighter. Skip, Basuma, Winks, Højbjerg, and Ndombele. Ali will probably have to just hold bench for a little bit, or even play further forward in that front three if you can get that figured out. And then you go in the summer and get another midfielder, and then the likes of a Højbjerg hold bench a bit. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I would build my squad. I'd get my first player in as someone who I know can do me a job for the next 6 months at least, right? And then we build from that, and then we have a Basuma in our team to kind of build from that. But as one of this comment just here from Go Getter just said, we do need Basuma to make sure he busts case. You know what I mean? Like,
I need to keep him out of the arch in Brighton. Fucking hell.
Listen,
I cannot believe he got kicked out of there. You have to do so well to be kicked out of the arch in
there's a
Brighton.
few legal issues with Basuma.
Hopefully, he can bust the case.
Yeah, we have to be careful.
He's an innocent man.
Yeah, we have to be careful about that. We don't want no Mendy FC building up in our team. So looking ahead, guys. Looking ahead, we've got Watford at the weekend. First game of 2022. Emmanuel Dennis seems to want to always score. But the rest of the team is pretty dead. They've got Sissoko as like a captain, I think. Like, really. And then the big one next week, Chelsea, midweek. Am I going to regret my words about Watford? Are they going to put us the fast one?
Hopefully the spirit of Danny Rose doesn't catch us all for that.
Yeah. What do we reckon, guys? I want to give it open to everyone. Watford.
1-0. Actually, no, 2-1 because Dennis will probably score. 2-1. I'm hoping. After seeing what who did they play last? They lost quite heavily at home. Was it to Leicester?
West Ham.
West Ham. Yeah, we've got to beat them at least 2-1. West Ham went there out of form and obviously caned them. So even though, they're going to have Sissoko and maybe even Rose will play and have a point to prove. But for sure, I see us trying to get the job done. And also going to try and get the job done. But getting the job done 2-1.
It's away from home. So that's been our Achilles heel. Eric, you were going to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, I hope for a 2-1, but I think we might struggle maybe to break them down. Like, they might just play those 2 banks of 4 or something and just dig in and just say, "Come at us." And I don't know if we've turned that corner fully yet. I think Winks is doing better, but I just don't know if we've turned that corner fully yet. Depends who we play, man. But I'll go for a 1-1 right now.
Yeah, I'll back Owen. I'll go for a 2-1. I think we've definitely got what it takes to beat them. I just think we got to be sensible. The way I will see us losing this game or walking away with level points is if we're trying to be too smart at the back, trying to play out too often when we're under pressure as well, and the pass isn't always an obvious one. I've noticed Eric Dyer tends to do that quite a bit, and it really does piss me off. I'm not gonna lie. Not that he's been playing really well under Conte, don't get me wrong, but too often I'm seeing him trying. It looks like he's trying to impress. Like he's trying to do the John Stones thing when really truly Eric Dyer just pass it to the right or to the left and do your job in terms of defending, bro, and I'll be happy with that. But yeah, now I'm going for a 2-1. I think Kane will get a goal. He'll be dying for one, and I think with the attacking prowess of Son, maybe Lucas Moura, it'll be too much for them.
Yeah,
I think Dele Alli used to love this fixture, didn't he? I'm sure he got a good couple of goals.
He used to love playing against Palace. He used to love playing against Arsenal. He used to love playing in loads of games. But we've seen him in the past couple of years come back to play these teams and be absolutely dead. Actually, funny enough, all the highlights that I saw from on like the Spurs Twitter or whatever about our previous matchups, top 5 goals against Southampton, Dele Alli's involved. There was one 2017, in the yellow away kit. He's doing bits. So I actually thought, going back to Southampton game, I thought we might see something from him, but obviously we didn't. So Watford play like a 4-5-1. Are they going to stifle us if we don't? Who do we play to unlock that 4-5-1? Do we go with a 3-5-2 to match them across the middle? How do we get around that? Because that's going to be something we have to come up against.
I've got an idea to throw out. Yeah, you lot tell me what you think. But what about starting Brian Hill on the as a wing back? Not a wing back, sorry, like as a winger, play with 3 at the back.
I was thinking he would actually do quite well. I was thinking like even against Southampton, he would have done well with the 10 in between the strikers, or on the left side of wing back. I thought he was quite limited on the right, and he actually almost scored, to be fair. But he says his favourite position is on the left.
Like, as soon as he came in on the right, though, it was like that was the first time he got a good cross in the whole game. It felt like
he was our best crosser from the right all game.
Yeah. But even then, he had to take it on his left foot. So I think he is quite naturally inclined to play on the left, to give that that extra second of time that you need, rather than having to switch foot or change the angle. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see him on that in that sort of left wing position. Does he have the energy to do it? 90 minutes would be interesting. So to get upwards and backwards, because I think that's what's needed in that role. But yeah, I think it'd be an interesting watch.
Yeah, the thing with Brian, he's as old school as his haircut, in the sense that he's a left footer who wants to play left wing. I mean, none of this inverted forward stuff, none of this new hybrid attacker business. Put me out on the wing, and I'm going to take my guy to the byline. A bit like how we used to see Aaron Lennon. Shout out to Aaron Lennon, he scored a goal today against Man United. But yeah, like he's classic in that sense. He wants to get to the wing. So I was surprised to see him on the right, even though he did decent there. In terms of starting him, I think I would probably, funny enough, one of the rare bright moments that Nuno had, he played him in a kind of advanced midfield role in one of the early Euro games. I think it was the Paco Rabanne game. I can't remember what the name was. And actually did quite well. I think he's good at picking up the ball in space. He can drive at players. He's similar to Moura in that he has no fear driving at a player. And he can get past a player, like, with ease. I think we need a bit of excitement in that sense. I think we need a bit of that. So I wouldn't be upset if he started. If it's a 3-5-2, him kind of floating behind Kane and Son. But whatever it is, we have to get this win, man. We have to get this win because we need to make sure we're keeping the pressure on. Other teams have quite tricky games. Obviously, we know Arsenal got Man City. It's not a given that they're going to lose that game, but if they do, we need to make sure that we've got points in the bag to capitalise. And then we've got Chelsea on Wednesday. Wednesday, I think it's the 5th of Jan. First leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Spurs versus Chelsea, or Chelsea versus Spurs, to put it in the correct order. I don't know how to feel about this game, if I'm completely honest. I watched Chelsea in their recent league game, and I thought, we can get at these guys. Their defense is shot to pieces in some respects. But it's Chelsea. You know, they might drop their striker for the next 5 games, so that might help us.
The
but-
ghost of Lukaku.
Yeah. Teacher, what do you reckon about this Chelsea fixture, man? Do we have, the second leg is at the Lane, so I think that's a positive. But what do you reckon for next week?
It's going to take some tough beating. I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to be at our very best to walk away from there with a positive result. Stamford Bridge, it's a scary place to go to, especially if you're Spurs. They have a similar system, so I feel like we're going to be matched almost man for man. And I think there's going to be battles all over the pitch. And I just think that Chelsea at this moment in time might be a bit more battle hardened than we are. So yeah, we're gonna need everyone performing. We're gonna need to be able to break these lot down. And I'm not sure that we're gonna have the creativity needed to play that progressive football and break the lines down in the manner in which we're going to need to do it. So, boy, hard to pick a result, but I'm gonna go with it being. Do you know what? I don't think there's going to be lots of goals in it. I don't think there's going to be lots of goals. I don't think so. I think it's going to be quite a strict game, and I think there's going to be fine margins that make the difference. And I'm going to go over 1-0 Spurs.
Oh, 1-0 Spurs away from home.
The faith is strong. The force is strong.
Wow. Owen, what do you reckon? Chelsea at the Bridge under the lights Wednesday night cup game.
A couple of things that give me a bit of hope. When we played them last season in the Carabao Cup, we fielded the most improvised lineup you could think of and managed to escape from pens. This was Fat Frank in charge, though, so Fat Frank tax has to be applied. But they've been looking very lethargic in the last few games, to be honest. And I know they've been quite harshly hit with COVID and injuries at the same time. So they've been limited to using only a certain amount of players, where we've kind of come out of that stage now, quite luckily, even though we've been accused of being postponement FC. I think as long as we can match them more for energy, especially doing what Brighton did at the Bridge last night at the time of recording, getting that last minute equaliser, I think we can get away from there with a 1-1. Obviously, I still think they're going to have more quality than us. Lukaku seems fired up now from these quotes he's coming out with in the media. Whether he'll be dropped or he'll come back a new man is going to remain to be seen. But yeah, man, as long as we can obviously match them up with the systems, as Teacher alluded to, which we obviously will, and we come with more energy, we can try and negate that quality gap as much as possible and come away with a 1-1 result. I think it's doable, if not a 0-0.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the energy. That's one thing we haven't had away from home. We haven't started well. I think if we can, it's one of the ones you just go, don't lose. Don't lose the game. You've got the second leg to come. Don't lose, If it's a 1-goal deficit, then okay, maybe a bit of hope, but just don't lose. If it's 1-0, and take that. I don't think there's going to be many goals. As we just said, I think it'll be close. Whoever wins, I think it'll be a 1-goal win in a gap between the two teams. But I'm kind of hoping for a draw. And then I do feel confident in the second leg at the Lane. Conte, the energy from the crowd. I think we've got something quite special, hopefully brewing at the Lane, which can help take us over the hump. I'm sure it's going to be tasty either way. The way Rudiger's playing at the moment, I'm just praying for our wingers and their legs, because he's flying into tackles. Obviously, they've got issues, like I said. Alonso's probably their only out-and-out wing back. Reece James is injured. Chilwell's injured. Let's see if they buy anyone, in the next 3 days. We know they got that power to do that. But it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. Very interesting matchup. So let's see if we can get through that. By the next time we are recording, we'll have those games in the bag, and hopefully we are as happy as was mentioned earlier. We're going to round it up there. I want to thank my brilliant cast. I likened them to a strike duo earlier. Obviously, we've got a front three now with Owen coming in with a third man run, a bit like Dele Alli used to do in his prime about 5-6 years ago, wasn't it? Teacher, wasn't it? Something like that.
Something like that.
But yeah, guys, it's been great. It's been great to have you back on. Like I said earlier, the OG of the pod. Guys, for those of you listening, we do wish you a happy new year. This is coming out on the 1st. Make sure you follow everyone on their socials. Follow New Spurs Order, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you find us. Like, share, tell your cousin, tell your uncle. Even our rivals love listening to us. So whoever you support, be involved. And we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Blessings.
Peace.